Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Lead Podcast. Today, I have another very beautiful episode with my best friend I met on a podcast, my dear friend, Leslie Sloane. She did all the she was here on the call on the podcast twice, one for episode 262, and then the next one, she did an actual energy reading. But because we talk too much, it's an Italian part of in us. She lived in Italy. My heart is Italian, so when we talk, we're very expressive. We just spent the last hour and a half talking, and it's so much. And I told her, listen, let's do a podcast together. Maybe we'll exploring that. So there's so much to talk. Just a little bit about her. We were connected by a wonderful friend of ours, Paul Marwood, amazing gentleman. And Leslie is based in California for now. Maybe she might go back to Italy in the future. Who knows? And she did some healing work in Egypt. She actually wrote a book in Egypt. And so much, she wrote the first book in Egypt back in 2006 and published in 2007. She's working now. She's working with energy and energy fields and energy transmission, the codes of alchemy, through sound and allowing you to take you on a journey and all that. So many incredible things that she's doing. And on episode 1, we barely scratched the surface. We just were able to get past just introduction. So, and I told her, my MTA, most trusted advisor, we might go up to episode 59. So this is episode 2, part 2. So anyways, without any further ado, Leslie, my dear friend, buonasera, buongiorno, benvenuta di nuovo. Good evening and welcome back.
Grazie mille per tutto.
Piacere tutto mio.
Ciao bello.
Ciao bella.
Buongiorno.
Pleasure. How are you doing today?
Amazing. We just this is the last day of our Labor Day weekend, and everything has just been so decompressed, and the kids were running around playing soccer in the grass, and they're laughing, giggling. I just love that. They are giggling with the high frequency giggles. Oh my gosh, it's gut-wrenching giggles. They're just hysterical. They're so funny. And it's nice to see, people going to the beach. I took a walk, like I normally do. I didn't go as far as I normally do because I was actually working today, but it was nice and quiet. So it was really nice. It's just so nice. You can tell when everybody's just so decompressed.
Sure.
They're peaceful. They're not working. They're going out to lunch or breakfast, or they're hanging out with the family. They're doing barbecues. So it's been a great day, and it was clear as a bell, and it was windy, and I'm a triple air, so I love the wind. I can't sleep when it's really windy because it's magical.
Oh yes.
It's magical. And I have my beautiful chimes going, so that's the solfeggio chimes, and it's just magical, amazing.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine. So in part 1, we talked about your background, talked about, a big chunk of your experiences, unique experiences you had while living in Italy and all that. But I want to go back to that beautiful, happy part of our lives, which is childhood. So you growing up, imagine that we were in the same class back in grade 10, 11. What kind of student, what kind of girl were you? Were you the quiet one, the nerdy one? Were you the life of the party, the chatterbox, the superstar? What kind of student and girl were you back then?
I was a pretty good student, although I didn't like to read much, but I was pretty good. I mean, I accelerated in all the right brain things, which is normal. It was in Spanish. If I was able to take Italian, because they didn't offer it at the time, but I would have taken that. And I accelerated in it because my mom was a Spanish teacher, and all the kids that would normally were straight A's, they did not accelerate like I did, I was like, great, this is perfect, because now I'm coming in with an accent and I really know what I'm doing. So I accelerated in art and language, singing, because in Italy I was in the choir. I was a soprano, and so I love that. I love the singing. So that I excel, and also in athletics. I accelerated in that as well because I was an ice skater and a runner, a short
Wow.
distance runner.
Mhm.
So but the science, I just didn't buy it. The science, the history, all that stuff, I couldn't do it because it wasn't true. I
Mm.
knew it then. I knew it when I was young, really, really young, and I knew it when I was in high school. Couldn't stand it. So I got B's, B minuses, all that through, C's. I actually got one D. And when you go home and your dad's a PhD in audiology and your mom's a rock star teacher, you're going,
The pressure.
a little pressure there, yeah. And I did a trade with them. I played the flute instead of them making me, which they wouldn't have. They just wanted me to have a discipline, but I told them no church, no temple. And they said, okay, play the flute. So I played the flute in the school, in the school band geek. But it was
Beautiful.
good. It was beautiful actually.
So
They would listen to me, yeah. So I was, medium. I was,
uh,
B student.
while going to
Did I?
school, were you popular with the boys?
I had a boyfriend already. I had two boyfriends at different times. But when I was an ice skater, I had a hockey skater as a boyfriend. I actually just connected with again,
Ah,
50 years later. And I mean, no, as a friend, it was,
sure,
nobody's
yeah.
changed. And then I had another boyfriend who was from a rival school, who was a football player and a surfer. And everybody was jealous during summer school when he'd come pick me up. And he had the, surfboard on his car, and he had my name written in the back of his window and all that. He was hot. And so and we were together for, a couple of years. And he wanted to marry me. He was the first person to ask me to marry him. Of course, I was only 16, 17. And that was, that was it. So I wasn't really paying attention
Mm.
to, I go to the football games and, do stuff. And of course, I saw what, I did have some guy friends, but not really like that. I was mostly with him when I was skating till I was 15, 16, 15. And then I got my football surfer boyfriend when I was 16.
Wow,
So
beautiful.
yeah, so I'm one of those. I don't play around.
Awesome. Now, moving forward from the time you left school to now, how would you describe your path? Would you say it was pretty much straightforward? Once you get into one lane, you were set for life? Or was it more like turns and twists, like a roller coaster?
I go with B.
Yes, it is. I knew it even before asking it.
I'll take door number two. That was exactly what it was because um, I I did go to college just for a year. I couldn't tolerate. I actually took English and I
Mm.
took art and music, but I couldn't. I just wasn't where I was supposed to be. Then I went into hairdressing and I became a hair colorist, which doesn't shock anybody who reads everything that I do with color, light, sound, sacred geometries. And then after that, I went into costuming, ancient antique costuming, and there was a very famous um, uh, wardrobe location in the movie industry because I was part of NABED. I was in the union for costumers. So I actually did hair makeup, but you can only do one profession in the union. So I did wardrobe and I did nothing but period pieces, and they happened to have gone back to the Renaissance. So it was all Italian, of course, that kind of thing, and or Celtic. And then I went into jewelry design, um, and designing things for Playboy. I designed things for some major rockers. I would
Wow.
create jackets that took 2 weeks each. A nuclear blast could not have taken all the stones and the chains but beautiful things. They were Egyptian, Incan, Mayan, Toltec, Aztec. It was just incredible. And I didn't pre-design anything. I actually just drew. And all this time I had a fever when I was doing it. And these jackets then sold for like $2,500, $3,000. And that was long ago, about 35 years ago, 40 years ago.
Wow.
So then I continued, and of course, this is taking me into past lives and all that. Then I journeyed to Rome, and I remembered being in the Colosseum, and I had reactions before I even saw these locations. I had reactions before I ended up in Rome, before we landed. And the same thing then years later when I went to Egypt. I started taking color metaphysics in 1990. And I also have been in aesthetics. I've been a subject matter expert in aesthetics for 35 years. So all of it, because I'm a Libra, all of it has to do with beauty inside and out. When I went to Egypt is when I finished my first book on color metaphysics and the colors that I still create to this day. And I went with a very famous Egyptologist and archaeologist, and he's a scholar, John Anthony West. And became friends with him. I went with him 2 years in a row. I used to piss him off sometimes because I would challenge him on things. and I ended up telling him about my memories of the Amarna dynasty. And he came back to me saying, well, you're certainly no Egyptologist and you're no archaeologist, and you would not have the privilege of knowing these things unless you were. And he says, but you remind me of Om Seti, who I believe she was around the 1940s, and she wrote a book on Amenhotep IV being her lover because she was not royal, and so he built her a palace, and all the jewels and everything that he gave her, they still uncover now. So this led me, when I was the very second to the last day that we were there, we went into Cheops. I got a download about taking the liquid colors that I was making and creating the Oracle healing cards out of them. And this was foretold many, many years ago when I was 20 by some people that I had seen. They said, there are colors coming out of you, and we don't know what they are because they are not born yet, but they are beautiful and they carry the sound of love. They are here to awaken humanity. Wow. And so this was, all these things. And then I think when I was like 33, I had a visitation by Jesus because I was in the scene. I was a little boy. And he said, it's your time. It's your time to go. And you need to do this. But what was interesting is I had a friend who was an Akashic reader who called me from Atlanta. And he said, you just got initiated. I said, what are you talking about? And he says, did you not have a visitation this morning? I said, yes. And he said, did he say these things you must do for me? And I said, yes. And he said, it's your time. And I went, oh my God. Okay. So that was part of that. And then giving me there was another gal who did a 3-hour reading for me under a copper pyramid. And she, at the end of the reading, going through my lifetimes, she gave me the book, The Keys of Enoch. And the Keys of Enoch, I have it here. Oh, it's right here. Look at this. This is a very, very difficult book to read. It's a very, very difficult book to read. It actually has a decoding book. And this is about biogeometry, all the archangels, angels, masters, ascended masters. What they do is they show the timelines. They show about the pyramids. They show pyramids on the moon. All kinds of things in here. But what happens is when you read the sacred letters, because it's Hebrew, when you read the sacred letters, it begins to decode you from the old programming, from the 3D elements. So I started reading that when I was 33.
Wow.
And so this has been a very windy road, because even when I was 20 or 17, I saw C happening and nobody believed me. Just warning people. In 1985, I warned them about the toxins in the water, 250,000 of them. And, here, you and I had a conversation about what I'm doing now with talking about the harmful EMFs and how to block them and what to do with them. So it's people, by and large, in the beginning did not believe me because they said, you're too young. You're too young. What do you know? Because you don't have a degree. I had a degree with aesthetics, and I had certifications up the wazoo for healing, but no PhD, no MD, right? No BA, didn't have any of that. But then again, do you really need that? You know,
No.
you were talking about the same thing. So it's been a very windy road, because there was a time when I was a teenager, I had to put down the knowledge of what I had, because I wouldn't have been able to function as a teenager. So where I am right now, people are now beginning to see that what they poo-pooed in what I was saying is now a reality, and it's happening in front of them. So it's been this kind of a thing, you know, this is what happens when you are, so for a long time, I felt I just didn't belong at all,
I feel you.
because no one spoke my language.
Absolutely. I felt that way too. One thing you mentioned that I've been curious, and I actually have a good friend of mine here is from Egypt. We had this conversation over dinner on Saturday night over the pyramids and all that. So I'm gonna ask the question to you as well. Who built the pyramids?
Well, we had instruction on the pyramids with sound. We had sound machines. We actually also used our voices. It was humans but it wasn't human design.
Mm.
It was it was our cosmic family members, the higher technologies that came in, and we were able to attune, like with what I'm wearing with my biogeometry, which was designed by Dr. Ibrahim Karim, which is what I do sound like calling sacred geometries, is the placement of them. When we have certain vibrations, we can actually elevate. You know, these vibrations have been hidden from humanity, and actually the elements of these vibrations are written in the walls in Egypt. You know, I don't know if I have it here. This is Nefertum. He's the son of Ptah and Sekhmet. But when we have the patterns, actually there are some patterns that are up here, but they are wave patterns. They look like spiky, and that's vibration. That's universal vibration.
Yeah.
And so everything has its own unique vibration. Now we know, you know, I have, which I showed you, the Healy that I've been teaching people about and running classes, and a lot of my clients and my family members have them. And each organ has a frequency. So when you're looking at a medical device, each organ has a frequency that is of harmonization. So it's the perfection, the perfect state of the human organ. If it's the heart, the liver, the kidneys, spleen, pancreas, gallbladder, liver, whatever it is, all of them have a sound. They each have a sound. So to lift stones, now you have to also remember that these stones, they're different types. Like you'll have granite, you know, the pink granite. You also have the sandstone, and there's the limestone. You've got all these different, and they all have their own vibrations. So we would have these machines. They were like cylinders, and it would generate a sound. Now we could also harmonize with this. It would generate a sound, and it would actually cause a flotation with these blocks. I never, being Jewish anyway, I never ever believed that we were slaves in Egypt. Never happened. This is part of the history I was telling you about. I had a problem with a lot of it. It never happened. It reminds me of the movie called Stargate that was on. And in Stargate, did you ever see it?
No, but it sounds familiar. I want to watch it. Yeah.
Okay, Kurt Russell was it? Yes, Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell. Anyway, I think it was. And is it Kurt? I think it's Kurt Russell. Anyway, the one that married Goldie Hawn. All right, they're together. Anyway, so when they travel through without killing everything, you're going to see writing on the wall, and this is a story that was given to the people that lived there to keep them enslaved. And this is what's going on, is that you have all the oh gosh, what is it called when you advertise something, you put something up there. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's propaganda. So the temples, like with oh gosh, he was one of the most famous. The wars. It wasn't Osiris. It was, now I can't think of his name. Anyway, in his temple, it's the hieroglyphs are so thick, they're like 2 inches embedded in, because the propaganda is there. It's like, well, we won the wars, we did this, we did that. You know how that goes. It's all the masculine energy. This is what they do. And so when the Ptolemies came in, they also put their story on top of that. They erased all the other stuff and they put their story on top of that. So the truth of the matter is, it's in scrolls, it's been passed down verbally, and it's in our memory banks. That's the halls of Amenti. It's our brains. It's going back into the pineal gland and tapping into that inner hallway that we have to remember the codes, to remember the Akashic records, because that's what it is. So I know, because I was there many lifetimes, I know this is what we did. We had generators of sound, but we also harmonized with our voices. And this is what caused the pyramids to the blocks. And whether it was in Teotihuacan, Uxmal, Egypt, Japan, doesn't matter, because this is how they were lifted. They still don't, you know this, they still don't have equipment that could do that to this day.
So this is what was this is what was the purpose of this pyramid, like a power plant type of
It's a generator.
Yeah, generator. Yeah,
it's a generator. Absolutely, it's a transformative generator. Yes, and it carries
the magnetic field of the earth, and also the electricity around us, just like Nicholas Tesla was talking about.
Yes, because it's also on a PowerPoint. It's on a PowerPoint. So all temples, all pyramids have been pointed out that they are on, it's like acupuncture, the PowerPoints of acupuncture on the earth. And this is why things are being destroyed in the PowerPoints, in these power locations, because they want to disconnect the spiritual energy, the higher vibration, the ability to raise our consciousness when we go to these locations, including what just happened in Maui. So this is all part of it. Yeah. So they're very powerful. And why would they try to, do anything with them if they weren't so powerful?
So why do you think what happened in Maui happened? Do you think there was man-made?
Oh, easily. Oh, yeah.
Why?
Easily. Because in the location that they went to, and this is actually it was foretold a long time ago. They're putting up the smart cities. They've already done it in London. They are targeting all the PowerPoints. And they are removing, like in Maui, this was the most ancient land that they had, the most sacred ancient land. And I find it quite interesting that there are lasers, and they caught this on film many, many, many times. The lasers coming out, and all of a sudden, things out of nowhere start on fire. But yet, interestingly enough, the cars melt, but the greenery is still there. How is that possible? And why is it that with all the money coming in and all the supplies coming in, it was shut down? Their water was shut down. For the firemen, the water was shut down. People have to ask questions. And this is what this is about. Now, I know that here we have a Lemurian grid. And the Lemurian grid goes from Westlake to San Ynez. Now, I was part of that. It was in 2019, and there were black unmarked SUVs that were in Malibu, they would show up out here, and maybe 2 or 3 guys would get out and they would shoot lasers into the bush. I had to evacuate my apartment at 11 o'clock at night with a whole bunch of people. There were flames that were shooting above our apartment house. This was all Mediterranean, beautiful Mediterranean location. And I had to go over to a friend's house and stay there with them for 5 days. You know, these things are on video. They caught it.
Remember back in 2000,
And
a few years ago, there was similar fires in California, a city called Paradise. And they were saying that there were targeted lasers. Like there was one house in the middle completely untouched, and everything around it calcified completely, burned down
Yeah.
in a way that no
Yeah.
natural fire would burn it.
no, and this is part of what they're doing. So what they're doing is they're getting it through the soil. They're doing the chemtrails in the air. They're putting the GMOs in the food, right? They're
Water,
vaccinating everybody.
the
Water,
toothbrush and all that.
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
sure, everything, every aspect they're trying to get. And here's another thing. This is another thing, and I'm going to do a video on it. So you know how now they're pushing the forever chemicals. They're saying, well, the forever chemicals, when they get in you, they can't ever be removed.
What is the forever
But here-
chemicals?
The forever chemicals. Oh, Bill Gates. He's been putting them into everything, including the water in animal food, dog food, cat food, horse feed,
Wow.
everything. But here's the thing though. There's a golden rule in the universe. And that golden rule is nothing is forever.
Yep. Cycle.
And it's right. And when we're talking about frequencies, you bet if they created these frequencies for these disgustingly dangerous, toxic, deadly chemicals, then you bet there's a frequency to undo it.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is how it goes. This is how there is never one thing. You always have the juxtaposition. You will always have the yin yang. And so this is really important. As much as they're trying to push that and get that into everybody's mind, you're going to have this forever. It's going to stay in you. There it is with the brainwaves. Well, we have metal in our brains, so now we're going to accept it. We're accepting the ping going into our brains. No. And this is where you do a heavy metal detox. There are ways to do heavy metal detox. So I'm going to be, I think we could get into this in a completely different, I could come up with resources because, we're giving information to people. I'm not a medical doctor, but I've been doing this stuff for years. And what ages us is when our cells, atoms, and molecules die. And the only way that they die is if you pull the ATP, which is their voltage, which is their life force. If you don't refurbish that life force, then you're going to age badly and you're going to have the disease. It's going to happen. So then we have to turn around and say, okay, what is it that I can do for my beautiful body as a golden temple to help me thrive? I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. This is really amazing. This is part of the frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have to do things and eat things and think things that are in a higher frequency, which will nourish ourselves. Even in the morning when I go into meditation and I have my oracles all over me and I have my Helion and I talk to my cells and I instruct them. I instruct my cells.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because they do, we're our own divine source.
Sure.
And you can say, I love you, my heart. I love you, my organs, my kidneys, my skin, my atoms, molecules, cells, tissues, glands, blood, bones, my hair. I love all of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you begin to feel the vibration responding. Because it's the same thing. If you see someone who has done nothing but loathe themselves for years, what do you think? What do they look like?
Miserable.
Miserable, and they're imploding. And it's like you know, it's a choice. Everybody has a choice. But you know, we have the higher and low. Everything is from light, number one. Everything is from light. We can't polarize. Polarization is not a good thing. We have to look at both sides. And you know, the dark side is uncomfortable. It is. It has to be, because that's what causes our evolution. It causes us to want to evolve. If we don't run into bumps in the road and we have a smooth ride all the way, that doesn't work. Same thing with Buddha. Buddha was sheltered by his parents. They didn't want him to see what was outside those palace walls. And then when he went outside those palace walls, he was shocked. He was shocked and he was mortified. And he said, I've got to be able to do something to transcend this. How do I do this? And the first thing he gets to know himself, and he seeks all of these different modalities to understand who he is and his own power. And he did, and he transcended so much, just like Jesus, just like Allah. You know, you have Buddha, Allah, Jesus. You've got so many beings that have come in to awaken us, including some of our greatest teachers, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Carolyn Mace, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, yeah, Greg Braden. I mean, you know, so many great teachers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, you know, and so this, with all of these locations on the planet, their aim is to destroy them, just as they have been killing off the whales since the 1920s, because the whales grid the earth with higher frequencies so that we can live on the planet.
Didn't know that.
And yeah, I mean this, and so they want to kill them so that those grid lines aren't there anymore. And same, you know, with the dolphins, the intelligence of the dolphins being able to birth children, you know, through the sonar, through the sound, pulling the children out through the sound of love, which is, you know, what I create with. It's the sound of creation. It's beautiful.
Awesome. Wow, that's fascinating. That's amazing. See, this is why I love talking to you and learning so many amazing things from you, and also learning new things from all kinds of experts from all kinds of different fields and categories and industries and all that on my podcast. So I love doing what I'm doing. But we can dive even deeper into all of these, any of those topics that you mentioned, but we may do that in the next episode. But for now, let's keep moving forward. So, you know, there's a saying that says, change your story, change your life. And by story, I mean what you tell ourselves in our head sometimes. So when you, Leslie, you were at some of your lowest, darkest moments in your life, how did you change your story internally to change your reality externally?
I had to go inside and visit the emotion. I did a lot of very deep work, going inside, shutting everything off, and going into even an ancestral lineage of where the thought came from. What caused it? Where did it come from? Because they generally aren't ours.
Yes.
In most cases, they're from a long time ago. And so I sometimes take a visit back into some ancient lands to see if I can hear anything that comes up that would be from a great grandfather, great grandmother, you know, were they involved with medieval warfare, the fear of that, going into, you know, so many different times of turmoil and poverty, things of that nature. And then I would also go back into my current family and say, where'd they get it from? And then call the lineages forward.
Do you think some of the mental blocks we may be having in this lifetime can be traced back to past lives?
Completely.
Wow.
Completely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There are behavioral patterns that I found with me that go back into in fact, one of them, because if we don't get rid of something, it's going to manifest itself in different faces, right? It will show up over and over and over until we rectify it. Now, I came in with a lot of things on my plate to get rid of all in this lifetime, so it's been, quite a story. But one of the things is it was protecting people, and I, because I know I was not protected. I know that I wasn't protected in other lifetimes, and I was persecuted several times because of the work that I did. I still do now, and so this is all part of it. It's being protective with other people, and because we know at the very core of it, we don't need to be protected. At the very core of who we are and the universe that we are a part of, universe, one sound, universe, we are part of that one sound. We don't need protection, but it's our personality traits, it's the habituals that we have brought into this lifetime, the lessons that we have to learn that we haven't learned, that we chose to bring back in this lifetime. They do require protection so that we can morph, we can go into the cocoon, we can have that space, that sacred space where we can then turn into the butterfly, if we so choose to do that. And then some people choose to just stay in the cocoon, so I would go into the cocoon, but then I would come out, and I would go into past lives. And yes, I've seen this with my clients, people coming to me, and I've seen the things from other lifetimes coming up very, very clearly. And it really does affect us in this life until we make peace with it. You don't want to get rid of it. You don't want to lose it. You want to integrate it, because we did these for lessons, for reasons, because everything is another golden patch that creates the golden central sun within us. And the more we look at, the more wisdom we open up as we tap into that gold. You've heard of the heart of gold, the heart of God. This is our most luminous heart, and it carries the wisdom in which we can change anything.
What are some of the most common mental blocks that can be traced back to previous lives, the past lives?
Oh gosh. The mental blocks. Well, I want to say that one of the greatest ones is self-doubt.
Yes.
Disconnection. You're not worthy.
And
It's so this
all the other issues can come from that.
Absolutely, because in the analytical mind, we can't hold a negative. Actually, we can't hold a negative thought. If someone says, don't turn down that road, well, you're going to turn down that road. If someone says, don't see the big elephant coming, well, you're going to see the big elephant coming, because that's the focus. That's the focus. If someone says, follow the path, you see the path. Follow the path with the end of it. You see only that. You don't see the trees around. You don't see anything. You see the path. You see that. We have the blocks come from being disconnected. We feel disconnected for a reason, because this has been a long time coming. This has been planned millennia ago. You know, we're a hybrid. So this is all part of it. But the cool thing is that, you know, we were talking about before, because we have a heart and we have the ability to choose. We are the only beings in the metaverse that have this choice.
No.
Based on our, it's very cool. So those would be, I think the greatest blocks would be disconnection, not understanding the self, the fear. It's the fear. And that's what everything is being driven by right now.
Yeah.
Because we had it then. Right? And that's the thing to address, is the fear. It's either fear or joy. It's one of the two.
So this is why I haven't watched the news in 5 years, because the news further enhances this fear, makes you upset, pissed off, and things you have no control over. So instead, I've been feeding my mind with focusing on what actually matters to me, and then feeding my mind with positive things like, hey, podcasts, videos, motivational speaks, and all that, sports, travel, songs, Italian songs especially, and all those beautiful songs, you know. So yeah, it's all about that. It's feed your mind with things that, just like your food, you would not eat a dish you don't like. Same thing here. You would not want something that's not serving you to enter your mind. So and this is done on purpose, because they want to keep your frequency down, and keep you in a state of fear, so they can control and manipulate you easier. That's all it's
And
about.
that's why the metals are there. Yeah, that's exactly it. The metals are put in there for that reason too, because they interface.
Yeah.
They make the frequencies easier, the people easier to manipulate when they have the chips and the metals in their brain, their heart, in all their organs, all that. Sure. I'm with you. I don't watch the news either.
I have no idea what's going on, and people ask me, "Have you heard this?" No, I have no idea, and I don't care, and I don't give a damn. If something is important, you will hear about it. You don't have to be glued to
Absolutely.
TV. So, wow, beautiful.
Absolutamente. Yeah.
Certo.
Yeah. Right.
Now, tell us, Leslie. Tell us now about your business, what you're doing now, what's your impact around you and around this world and this lifetime.
Well, my business is my passion, which is connecting people to their vibrational blueprint, to help them understand that they can have a conversation with their soul in another way, in a way that is vibrational, through the colors, which are the feelings and the expressions that come out of them. I created the Oracle healing cards, the chakra healing cards, the Oracle color mists, and all of these are multidimensional. They are frequency based. They each carry a sound, and each person, being unique, is going to hear a different sound coming out of them based on their own blueprint, what I call their soul sacred song and their inner mosaic.
Yeah.
And it's going to light up the strands that have gone dark.
Wow.
And this is because in the darkness, it's the void we avoid. When we avoid things, then this is what makes us sick. This is what causes sadness. This is what causes all kinds of catastrophes in ourselves. And then, of course, then it goes into the world. You have a lot of people that are having catastrophic events inside. We're going to have a huge catastrophic event outside. So I help people to feel better, to feel connected, to just let go.
Yeah.
And feel love. You know, I would say 99% of the people that have been on my table or I've done Zooms with, they feel a frequency coming through and their hearts open up. They feel more at peace. And you had a reaction like that as well. You just went into a place of peace. This is, because it's a language of the soul, but what I create are all frequency based, because you've got to feel in order to shift. And the codes that I work with are the universal codes, which is what's in my upcoming presentation that I'm working on the slides for, called Discover God's Fingerprint Within You.
When are you going to do that?
Well, I'm in the process of it right now. I'm teaching in-person classes at the moment, but I'm working on the slides, which I told you is not exactly my forte. However, if it's supposed to get done, it's getting done, and I do have some help. So I'm looking at a launch of October.
Oh, wow. Any specific date?
Well, I'd like to get it out for my birthday.
Is
October 3rd. Da, 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 da. So that, yeah, so that's the date I'd like to get, because it's been quite a journey. It's taken 4 years to put this thing together.
you have a month.
Because
You will do it. I know it.
I'm on it. I am on it. I've got fire under my feet, and I am totally on it, because this is really important, because the people I've had about 6 of these presentations and workshops here, and they're experientials as well, because then you integrate and you interact. And this is where everybody has their experiences. And there was actually a point where I had done a retreat with, it was a day retreat, and this other gal was going to go after me. I said, I really think you should go before me. And she's a yoga teacher, really incredible. And this was in her home. She has a big space. And she says, no, I want to go after you. So we nobody wanted to stop doing the energy work. So she never did the yoga. Out of a class of, it was like 30 people, only one person wanted to do yoga. Everybody else was so absolutely mesmerized by the fact that I had them working on each other with the oracles they chose. And they could feel the body moving, things inside their bodies moving. People were in tears. It was incredible. It was incredible. So yeah, I think this is really important to get out as soon as possible.
Sure.
Because it really does make a difference in people's lives. And the fact that you have something that looks like a card that's moving things inside your body, or you think it's a card, it's opening up people's minds. This is nothing like tarot angel guidance. They are truly portals and frequencies of light, of God, divine thought forms, God consciousness.
Wow. Amazing.
So this is what I'm doing. I just want to get into the depths of everything. I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart, so I want to get into the depths of the soul, however deep everybody wants to go. I never force anybody to do anything. It's more, you let me know when you're ready. So when people keep, they come back, they're, okay, I want to go to the next level. Now let's see what your soul's saying. And I have them.
So you work with people one-on-one, or you work in small classes?
I do all of it. I work with classes, and I do one-on-one sessions, because you certainly, especially if you have something detrimental, if there's an illness, if there's a inner conflict going on, as opposed to like part of someone needs a question answered. I had someone come in here, within 5 minutes her question was answered, and then she had just a very peaceful session, and she just laid there and she listened to the sound. She, we worked with her oracles, and I just did energy work on her, but she got her message immediately, and it just completely took the weight off of her shoulders. It just happens like that, because the answers are there. They are there. And I can see things, but I always like them to get to it. It's better that we connect. It's better that we do. Of course, I'm there. If there's intervention needed, of course I'm going to say something. If they can't get to it, then we start talking about it. And so we need to be our best selves. We need to understand who we are. And the only way to do that is to keep pushing, keep, it's perseverance, just keep going, because we are really deeply loved. And that's all we are, is the sound of love.
Yeah. What would you say is your ideal client?
Anyone who's open to having an experience to feel better. Anyone who is open to feeling something different, opening up the dimensions around them, feeling, because in order for us to change, we have to be bridged over to something that is different in order to give us a reference point on where we want to go to ascend in the next part of our life here on earth. We are in heaven. We are in heaven. There is no we're not going up and down. Well, we could go down, but we are in heaven. So whatever we're experiencing now, this is our chosen perception. So whoever is open to a shift, who wants to change their consciousness, who wants to experience something different in their lives, who just wants to open their heart and just feel better. It's anyone who is open.
And how long does it take for someone to achieve those results?
Everybody's different, because everybody has a different lineage. Everybody has a different choice.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, because what I do is I warn people, is if anybody says to you, I'm going to heal you, turn around and run the other way, because you're your own healer.
Yeah.
First thing. Second thing, if anybody says to you, well, I'm going to fill you with light, turn around and run the other way, because you're made of light, and we know this scientifically. We prove that. So you don't want to go there either. And we're here as catalysts. We see things, we know things. I work with a lot of that, but again, I want to, sit back and also let them work with the information I'm bringing through, and the transition I'm bringing through for them in their cells, in their atoms, all that, and see if something comes up. And oftentimes they will come up with images and messages and things like that. And of course, they are speaking the language of the colors they chose. And when I show them this, they're just floored. I go, do you see how intelligent you are? So I'm connecting them to that place of intelligence, the infinite intelligence from which they were born.
Yeah.
It makes it, just opens up their hearts, like, oh my God, I feel different. I feel better. I feel loved. You brought me to an awakening, or something that might be so dark for them, but they feel like I have their back. It's like they know I have their back with this.
Yeah.
Important.
Absolutely.
It's important that people feel cared for.
Totally. It's everything. It gives them the self-confidence, the belief that, hey, they're not alone. And from that, they become more daring and more risk-taking and all that in a good way.
Sure. They can step over the fence and not have one foot on one side and one foot on the other.
Take the proverbial leap of faith toward their dreams.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, share with us an example of the most remarkable transformation you've seen from one of your clients so far.
Oh, God. There's so many.
I love that. Like this, yes.
God. Okay. All right. Well, one gal, this was amazing. One gal came in from Hawaii. She came in with her caretaker, who became a student of mine after she witnessed what was going on. She had 4th stage lung cancer. Now, a very dear friend of hers, a guy, very well-built guy, came in. They went to Cedars-Sinai, and they came out with an oxygen tank. She had to have her mask on, this gal, and she was a tiny little thing. And probably in her mid-40s, she couldn't breathe.
Wow.
And so they heard about me, and they came to see me. And so the guy's carrying this tank up. Have you seen them? They're huge, these big oxygen tanks. And anyway, so he leans it up against the wall. And I have, on my massage table, I don't have the ability to raise raise anything. It's just flat. So what he did was he got behind her. I had her on a pillow, but he got behind her and he braced her with his arms. So and we got pillows, and she was able to sit in an angle like this because she couldn't lay down. She couldn't breathe. So she has this mask on, the oxygen is going. And I had her choose her colors. And I started working on it. Now, it wasn't me, it was me holding a space of love. Yes, I have love coming through me. Yes, I have light. Absolutely. But I was using the colors, and I gave her the reading. I was using the colors on her, holding 2 of them at a time above her when all the others were laying on her, around her. And within 5 minutes, she's pulling on her mask. And she's trying to hit him. She's hitting his arm, trying to say, I said, oh my God, she wants you to turn it off. She's pulling it out, and I helped her. And she just took a deep breath and pulled it off of her. And the nurse, her caretaker, is a very dear friend of mine. She was shocked, and he was shocked. And I just continued for the next half hour. I continued because this is about, it can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So anyway, I continued for another 30 minutes, and she's breathing and she's calm, and her eyes are closed. Everything is fine. And it was done, and the energy was done. I was pulled away, and I started pulling the bottles and the colors off of her. And she had tears. She opened up her eyes and she had tears, and she said, what did you do to me? She said, I felt like cool, running, clean water was running through my lungs, and I could breathe. And I said, I didn't do anything. I was being guided by the guides coming through, the guides that sit on these rays, the masters that sit on these rays, the archangels, the angels that sit on these rays that are working with you, came through, and they were guiding my hand with these frequencies that got in and opened you up. So she did not use her oxygen tank. 2 days later, Haumea, her caretaker, called me. Haumea is a healer. And she called me, and she said, we're in Malibu. We're staying at a motel before we leave. Can you come back for a session? Can you come to us? I said, sure. So I arrived there. It was probably 6:30 at night. It was a Saturday night. And I remember because, it was just, it was pretty quiet, and it was a non-smoking location. I go up to the room, and I bring all my colors and all that stuff, and I had her choose, and she's laying on the bed, and I started putting all of these colors around her in black. She chose black as one of the colors because black is, it's the feminine. It's also a color. It means a lot of things. And I put that on her heart. I put all these other things around her. And then within a minute, I started smelling smoke, like someone had just lit a cigarette. And I thought, what the heck is going on here? And I looked at Haumea. I said, this is pissing me off. This is a non-smoking location. And I thought, we were up on the 3rd floor, and I thought someone below has got to be partying or something's going on. I opened up the sliding glass door. It was as quiet as a mouse. Nobody was there. We were the only ones. It was pure black out there. And I thought, what's going on? I went, oh my God. I turned around. Tears started coming out of my eyes. And I looked at Haumea, and I said, she's got black coming out of her chest. The smoke is coming out of her chest.
From her chest. Wow.
Hatred is coming out of her chest.
Whoa.
And I have goosebumps now. You could tell my nose is, this is just one of so many things that have happened. I've had some incredible things happen in Egypt too when I did healing work there. This is just incredible. And after that, Haumea said to me, she said, I need to take your certified course. I have never seen anything like this before. She said, this is the real thing. I said, yeah, it is. And this is just one thing that has happened. And I have to tell you that as many lifetimes as I've been doing this, I still am in awe and in gratitude for them revealing and showing things to me that are beyond. They are beyond words. Because the true light is there are no words. It's sound, but there are no words. And it's just incredible. So that's one of, I have testimonials on my website about a lot of things, including birthing children, shingles, seeing colors, and being blind. So there's a lot of things that come into play with this. It's very deep, serious work. And I love it because I love to see people change. I love to see them lighten up. I love to see that they feel loved. That's my passion.
Wow, amazing. Love that. Love that. Listen, we can talk for hours. We've been talking for 2 hours now. Let's start wrapping things up. We'll do definitely part 3 sometime in the future. To finish off, I'd like to ask you a series of rapid fire questions on advices. Ready?
Okay.
Okay, what would you say has been so far the best piece of advice you received in your life?
Listen to your heart.
Love that. The worst piece of advice you received so far?
Don't listen to your heart.
So what are we supposed to do? Listen or don't listen?
You asked, I'm telling you. Mamma mia.
Not this one, but this one, not the same direction, but like this.
Double whammy. You didn't expect that one, did you?
No, absolutely not. That's what I love about you.
È verità, è la verità.
Claro. Now, imagine that you were blessed with a time machine. You can go back in time and sit face to face with 18-year-old Leslie. What's the number one piece of advice or gift to her knowing all that you know now? Yeah.
Okay.
I was about to say other than listen to your heart. But let's say whatever.
Go with your passion. Do not be afraid of what others think. You go with your passion.
Oh, yes.
Because you are the key to your own abundance.
Love that. I need to listen that myself. I need to be reminded of that myself because sometimes I find myself doubting myself and say, is this the right path? Do I still need to do this?
We all do. Yeah. That's in a nutshell, that's what I would say. Follow your path, not someone else's. You have no one else's blueprint but your own. And it is highly unique and it is highly loved and it is powerful.
Amen. Preach. Do you have your own podcast?
Not yet.
So what's the number one reason that's been holding you back so far?
Well, I actually work better in partnerships.
I see.
Yeah, those are my codes. I'm a Libra. I work better in partnerships. And so
I'm a Libra too, you know that.
I know. And we were kind of throwing this around between us. So I'm going to leave that for our further conversations because I think we got 2 Libras going and 2 people that love to talk. We're very gregarious. We love to connect with people. We have everybody's heart in mind with what we're doing and how we're doing it and
Absolutely.
to bring uplifting thoughts and all that. So
who knows? No si sa mai. You never know.
Yeah. Right.
Awesome.
Right.
Imagine that you had your podcast and today you're interviewing the most special person in the world, other than me, of course. It's interviewing yourself. Interviewing yourself. What is the first question you want to ask yourself? Don't think too much. First question that comes to your mind.
first question that comes to mind, I would be asking myself, how does it feel to be so loved?
Yes.
How does that feel?
Yeah, feels weird. Yeah.
The infinite love. How does that feel?
And what is your
Because the whole thing is about love. How does it feel? When I close my eyes and I meditate and I become part of the universe, it feels amazing. It's infinite. It's infinite. It does not stop with my physical body. And the sound waves continue. And you can feel the grandiose energy, the expansion, the infinite expansion that moves around your body, the sound waves, it goes into the universe. So I fly into the universe and I become very tiny as far as my physical body. So it's infinite, and it's the effervescence, the presence of it is forever. That is the only thing that, besides change, that is constant and forever, is love.
Beautiful. Love that. The last question I will ask you, and that's my favorite question to ask all of my guests, and that is, what is the smallest thing you've done in your life that has had the greatest, deepest, most profound positive impact in both your life and business? By small, I don't mean something small. I mean the one thing. For example, for me, it's been starting my podcast. What about you, Leslie?
I would say creating the colors, because it has to, that's it, because of the impact that it's had on so many people, a few thousand people that I've worked with, and it's incredible. So I mean, you're looking at a small thing. It's a huge endeavor, but it's a small, when you think about it from the outside, but it's alchemy, it's magic. And sometimes that has to stay in the cave for a while. So that was the smallest thing I've done that has had the greatest impact.
Makes sense. Love that. Now, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
Through my website or my email. I think we have, it's going to be,
what's your website?
My website is oraclehealingcards.com, but it's AURACLES. Sorry. That's my email. It's AURACLE healingcards.com. And my email is leslie@oraclescolor.com. And I think you'll have both in the...
I thought your email address would be leslie@ladolcevita.com.
Not in this life. Mi dispiace, però...
It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress.
It's a work in maybe next life.
Or maybe the next chapter of this life. You never know, Anyways, listen, absolutely amazing, blast, honor talking to you. I'm delighted. I'm grateful that you connected. Grateful to Paul for connecting us, and for you to coming, sharing your story, opening up your heart, sharing your beautiful story and your gifts with me, with my audience, with the world, because what we're all about, to inspire others in whatever shape or form. And you've been blessed with phenomenal gifts. I salute you. You're treated with art. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing the world with your presence, your impact, your contagious laughter and smile and positivity and beautiful aura, energy, frequency, and everything else. You're truly with art. Stay safe. Stay awesome. God bless you. We're definitely going to be talking soon. And this is part 2. I told you we'll be doing up to part 59. So we're coming there, So
I'm shooting for 65.
65. Okay, we'll do 75 or 96, whatever. All right, my friend.
Grazie per tutto.
Diego, piacere tutto mio. It's all my pleasure. You're very welcome. Have a fantabulous evening for you. It's past midnight. Here is 12:30 Tuesday afternoon. Gotta go grab some food and then have a meeting after. So
Buon appetito. Thank you so much, God. This is such a blessing. I just love being with you. This is just so much fun. And thank you, Paul. We just love you. I'm so happy and grateful that we have done this. You are amazing. Thank you for shining your light and just being so authentic and so heartfelt. You have such a heart of gold. It's amazing. It's amazing. The light around you is amazing.
keep going. Keep going.
Ti mando tanti abbracci.
That's it. Keep going.
Oh, it's like, you lead the orchestra, I sing. Okay, va bene.
Next time we'll do it. That's your homework,
Posto?
okay? Okay. Pinky promise?
Okay. Pinky promise.
All right.
Pinky promise.
Yeah, ciao, ciao. Buonasera.
Ciao, ciao. Ciao,
Thank you.
ciao.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.